Okay, assalamu alaikum guys. Now I'm going to do interest with you. We've done this in class. All right, first we're going to start from the definition of interest, what interest is all about. Interest is both the cost of borrowing funds and the profit that benefits those who deposit funds in a savings account. Calculated as a percentage of the loan or deposit balance, interest is paid to the lender by the borrower in the case of a loan or from the financial institution to the depositor in the case of a savings account. Now, if I ask you what you understood from this, nothing obviously, because maths is not about words, we have to do some calculations. But before we do that, obviously, I have to tell you, now we have, this is what we discussed in class. We have two types of the interest. First thing, you either earn the interest or you are charged the interest. So when you earn the interest is basically what has been said in the definition. You have a certain amount of money, you take that money, you deposit in the bank, and then you want that money to increase every year. So that is basically you are earning the interest on your capital, on your money that you have in the bank. And when you are charged interest, say for example, you want to buy a car, but you don't have enough money, you want to go and get some money from the bank. The bank gives you money, but they want their money back with the interest. So when you repay that money, you're going to pay more than what you were supposed to pay. Okay, so they're going to add a certain percentage of interest. Right. And then when they are charging you the interest, right, or when you are earning the interest, there are two types of interest, the simple interest and the compound interest. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you about the formulas that we use for simple interest. Later on, I'll tell you the formula that we use for compound interest, and then I will show everything to you on a table. I'll compare both of them. Okay. Simple interest formula is this: A equals to P open the bracket 1 plus I times N. A stands for after. That means after all of this is done. Now that will be A after, a final amount. P is previous amount or starting amount, right? I is interest rate and N is the number of years. Or in some cases, well, not in grade 9, but later on when in grade 10, 11, or 12, when you see, then you're gonna get charged interest quarterly or every 2 months, every month. So N is basically the number of the periods for the interest, right? But in this case, because we are speaking about the interest based on the years, that's why for us now it is number of years. Okay, let's look at the compound interest. Compound interest formula is this: A equals to, well, as you can see, the letters that we're going to be using in our formula are the same. A equals to P open the bracket 1 plus I, right, to the power of n. Now as you can see is to the power of n. In the previous formula, as you can see, in the simple formula is in the bracket 1 plus I times n, but for compound it's going to be 1 plus I in the bracket, and n is the power of the bracket. Okay, so again, A is after the final amount, right? P is the previous or starting amount, I is the interest rate, and n is the number of the years. Now we are going to apply this on, right, a table where we have simple interest and compound interest on a certain amount of money. Okay. Now I'm sure after that everything will be very clear. Right, this is a very important table. This is the table that we have gone through in class. So as you can see now, on this side of the table, on left hand side, we have the, right, 10% interest rate per annum, but this is simple interest. On the right hand side, we have 10% interest per annum. By the way, annum per annum is per year, right? Compound interest. We have the same amount of money that is deposited, 700, 700, as you can see. Now we're going to see how that money increases when it's simple interest and how it increases when it is compound interest. Right. So, and this is for 5 years. So we're going to deposit this 700, and after 5 years, we will see how much this money is going to be when we use simple interest. The same amount of money, now we're going to put it in the compound interest. Now we will see after 5 years how much money this is going to be. Right. So as you can see, this column here is column of the years, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. This is the principal amount, right? This is the interest, and this is the total amount. So now we have 700 Rand. We take that money, we go to bank. We want to deposit this money and we want interest on this money. So the interest is 10% of this money, right? So first, what I need to find is what is 10% of this money. As you can see, 700 deposited. I want to find how much the interest is going to be. The interest is 10% of, right, this principal amount. 700 times 10% is 70 Rand. So 70 Rand is 10% of 700 Rand, which I'm depositing. And then 70 Rand is the amount of my interest, because the interest is 10%. Now 10% of that is 70 Rand. Now I deposited 700 Rand, and then 70 Rand is added to that 700 Rand as in interest. At the end of the year now, I have 770 Rand. I deposited 700 Rand. 10% of that 700 Rand is added to 700 because it is the amount of the interest. Okay. Now, at the end of the year, I have 770 Rand. Okay. Now, when I'm starting the second year, the total money now I have in my account is 770 Rand. And then again, I'm going to take 10% of 700 Rand, which is 70 Rand. That equals to 840 Rand. After the second year now, I have 840 Rand. Why? Because 70 Rand, I earned 70 Rand from the first year. Now I earn another 70 Rand from the second year. Now in total, I have 840 Rand. Now the third year, again, I'm going to add another 70 Rand. It will be 910. Fourth year, again, another 70 Rand. I will be adding it. It's 980. Fifth year, again, another 70 Rand. Now I have 1,050 Rand. So at the end of 5 years, I have 1,050 Rand. Every year, the interest amount is 70 Rand, as you can see. After, for the first year, 70 Rand. Second year, 70 Rand. 70 Rand, 70 Rand, 70 Rand. That's why we say, for the simple interest, once we find the simple interest, right, the amount of the simple interest, it doesn't change. It remains the same. Because now, as you can see here, the 10% of 700 is 70 Rand. So every year, I'm going to take the 10% of that initial money I deposited. No matter how much money you have, you take 10% of the initial money, which is 700 Rand. As you can see, that's why it remains the same, 70, 70, 70, 70, and 70. Okay, so that money is always going to be added to the money that is accumulated in your account. Right, again, I have 700 Rand, right? Then my interest rate is 10%. So I need to find what is 10% of 700 Rand. When I work it out, it is 70 Rand. So the 70 Rand will be added to 700 Rand, and at the end of the year, I have 770 Rand. Second year, I'm starting with 770 because at the end of the first year, this is the money that is accumulated in my account. I'm starting with this. Interest, again, I'm going to take the 10% of 700, right? So that will be 70 Rand. And then I'm going to add 770 plus the 70 will be 840. Third year, now I have 840 Rand in my account. I'm going to take 10% of 700 Rand I deposited initially. It's 70 Rand again. 800 plus 70 is 910. Now I start with fourth year. I have 910 Rand in my account plus again 70 Rand. This is the interest and 980. I come to fifth year. Now I have 980 Rand in my account. Again, I take 10% of 700 as the interest. So it's going to be 980 plus the 70 Rand, the interest, and it is 1,050 Rand. So what we say for a simple interest, once we find the amount of the simple interest, it remains the same. It doesn't change. Okay, as you can see, after first year, simple interest was 70 Rand. So 70 Rand every year, I'm going to add 70 Rand to what I have in my account. Okay, so we say note that interest is calculated at 10% of 700 Rand every year, as you can see. interest is here. Every year, 10% of 700 Rand, which is 70 Rand. 70, 70, 70, 70. Therefore, the interest remains constant at a 70 Rand increase per year. Yeah, every year, 70 Rand increase is as you guess. Okay. Now, when we come to compound interest, what's going to happen here? Let's look at it. Now we're going to see the difference between compound and the simple. The other name for compound interest is the interest of interest. Why we say interest of interest, we'll see now. Right, again, we have this now for 5 years. First year, I'm depositing the same amount of money, which is 700 Rand. I'm going to take 10% of 700 because my interest rate is 10% per annum, per year. Okay. 10% of 770, so 700 plus 70 is 770. So at the end of the year, I have 770 Rand in my account. We said this is the compound interest is the interest of interest, which means every year I take the interest of the accumulated amount. I don't, you see, with the simple interest, every year you take the 10% of 700, the money that you deposit initially. But with the compound, now every year when I start the year, I look at how much money I have in my account, I take 10% of that. So at the end of the year, the money that I have in my account is 770. So when I come to second year, I take 10% of 770, which is going to be 77. So I'm going to say the 77 plus 770 is 847 Rand. I start with third year. How much money I have in my account? 847. I take 10% of 847, which is going to be 84 Rand and 70 cents. So this is the amount of the interest. I'm going to say 847 plus 84 Rand 70 cents. That will be 931 Rand 70 cents. I come to fourth year. The amount of money I have in my account is 931 Rand and 70 cents. Now I'm going to take 10% of this because remember for compound interest, we said we're going to take 10% off. It's 10%. That's what I'm going to say. We're going to take the interest of the accumulated amount, which means the interest of at that moment, whatever money I have in my account, I will take the interest of that. So, right, when we're starting with fourth year, we have 931 Rand 70 cents. So I'm going to take 10% off that amount, so which will be 93 Rand and 17 cents. Then I'm going to say 931.70 plus 93.17, which will be 1,024 Rand and 87 cents. I come to fifth year. The amount of money I have in my account is 1,024 Rand and 87 cents. Now I'm going to take 10% of this, which will be 102 Rand 49 cents. Then I'm going to say 1,024 Rand 87 cents plus 102 Rand 49 cents, which will be 1,127 Rand 36 cents. So again, with the compound interest, guys, every year we're going to take the amount, the interest of the money we have. Right, look at here, we start with 700 Rand. At the end of the year, I have 770 Rand. I come to second year, I look at how much money I have in my account, 770. I take 10% off this. Then it becomes 847 at the end of the second year. This is the money I have in my account. I start with third year. How much money I have? 847. Now I'm going to take 10% of this. Now I come to fourth year. How much money I have in my account? 931 Rand and 70 cents. I take 10% of this. I come to fifth year. This is the money I have. I take 10% of that. Then it continues like every year you take the interest of accumulated amount, while with the simple interest, every year we take the amount, the interest of the money that you deposit initially. So as you can see, initially we deposit 700 Rand. Every year I take 10% of that. That's why it doesn't change. The interest remains the same, 70 Rand, 70 Rand, 70 Rand. Look at here. So the only thing that is common with compound and simple, guys, the first year you're gonna have the same amount of money. So you have 770 Rand, you have 770 Rand. Why? Because compound interest, guys, it's the first year. That's why nothing has been accumulated yet. That's why the first year we say the simple interest and the simple interest and the compound interest will be the same. But after that, every year the simple interest and compound interest will change, because look here, simple interest remains the same every year. It's same 70 Rand every year. But look here, first year 70 Rand is the same as we said, but second year 77 Rand 30 is 84.17, 40 is 93.17, 50 is 102.49. Okay, then we say, guys, the interest for the compound. The interest is calculated at 10% of total amount from the previous year. Therefore, the interest constantly increases per year, right? Okay, what this means is this. We're going to look at the previous year. When it comes to this second year, we're going to look at previous year. How much money we closed this year with? 770. So I'm going to take 10% of that. At the end of the year, I have 847. When I come to third year, I'm going to look at this. How much money I closed this year with? 847. I'm going to take 10% of that. So every year I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, so this is all about the interest. All you need to do is just learn the formulas. And then when you see the question, okay, whatever figures you have in the question, just apply them in the formulas. So that is it.